You found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, me and Pat are going to discuss the rumors around Zach LaVine and the trade market. Reportedly, Casey Johnson says that the Bulls are hoping that the Zach LaVine trade market may actually open up in this offseason. We're also going to talk about the Bulls looking into the Nikola Vucevic trades and continue our season previews today with Alex Caruso. We're going to get to all that and more on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. That's Pat the Designer, host and creator of the Windy City Breeze and host of the Chicago Bears podcast over at ESPN 1000. I'm Haize, host creator of Chicago Bulls Central and Chicago Bears Central YouTube pages and podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150. Win or lose, visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. Pat, let's get into it, man. So according to Casey Johnson, the Chicago Bulls are still very focused on moving Zach LaVine this offseason. It's priority number one, according to Casey Johnson, in this offseason, which we've kind of heard before. That's not too shocking there. But, you know, the questions around Zach LaVine and the trade market that was not there for him at the trade deadline, seems like the Bulls are feeling confident that they can find a trade partner with Zach LaVine, that even some GMs and executives around the league believe that there will be more interest in Zach LaVine than initially thought because of teams falling out the playoffs, getting eliminated early, things like that. One of the teams mentioned was the Philadelphia 76ers. I've literally been telling people that for about 3 months, that the 76ers, who only have 3 players under contract next year, could always end up striking out and being a place that Zach LaVine could land. But Pat, hearing that this is still priority number one for the Bulls, how you feeling?
I mean, listen, I understand it, and I get like teams want to change directions, right? Like, but at this point, it's just like, why? You know what I mean? Like, all of the teams that were listed, the Lakers' name will continue to come up in anything that ever exists, right? Like, why would the Lakers want to do it? Philly's name comes up. Why does Philly want to do it? Why would Philly want a little bit better, but a lot more expensive Tobias Harris? Well, I guess actually not a lot more expensive. Tobias Harris makes like $37 million a year. Think about that. But like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't understand why teams would want to all of a sudden give up assets, because it's not just Zach LaVine showing up and signing with them. And I would get it more so for that reason, right? If it's like, we don't know if he's a winning player, but we could just sign the dotted line, get him some bread, and he's good. But why would teams want to give up assets that they currently have, move on for pieces that they currently have for a player who, listen, I love Zach LaVine. I think Zach LaVine, if they could figure out how to make him work here, could actually work. But who is the losingest player in the NBA right now? Like,
here's the thing, is that to answer your question, why would teams be interested, is just that they have to do something. And especially a team you look like the Philadelphia 76ers, they don't have to give up assets. Well, of course, they'll have to trade something, right? You have to send something out. But I can see a world where the 76ers send out a heavily protected 2031 and 32 first-round picks to get Zach LaVine. If they strike out on everybody else, they got to sign somebody with all that cap space. So I can see a world in which teams would be interested, because honestly, teams do stupid things every offseason. There's always one. You just got to be the place in the team that is willing to take advantage of it to a certain degree, right? And I'm not saying that the Bulls are going to get anything favorable back. I think at this point, it's starting to sound like, to me, what I'm hearing is that the Bulls are willing to basically look at this as any part of a salary dump, meaning if you can send us back some contracts that are all expiring or maybe expire over the course of 1 and 2 years, where each year some of those guys falling off, that brings some level of cap relief for the Bulls. And I think that that's what, whereas last season we heard that they made calls on Darius Garland, they made calls on DeJounte Murray, and were turned away. I think the Bulls now maybe, this according to what we're reading here, is that they're ready to kind of more so just dump it, whereas they're not necessarily looking to get a whole lot of assets back for Zach LaVine at this point.
I mean, listen, I guess that's where technically the Lakers work, right? But I think the Lakers are at a point now where they have to, and I think what makes this tough is a lot of these franchises have to look at their own pieces, right? The Lakers have to look at a LeBron James situation and say, are we really running this back?
Yeah.
Like, not to say that you're done with LeBron, but like, are we really going to do this again after this season is over? We know what's being reported is that he wants to play with Bronny. Whoever's going to go out and draft Bronny, they're going to get LeBron, blah, blah, blah. But like, if you don't have that, right, do you want to dump a lot of those contracts that you signed to go out and get Zach LaVine? The problem is a lot of those contracts that you signed are small money contracts because you had to pay LeBron James and friggin' Anthony Davis. You're like, hey, we just got to put some people around y'all and it should work miraculously. So I don't know what the team would be that would have that. I guess that would just be like, you know what? We're so done. We're ready to just give Zach LaVine a try. Like, that's literally what the Bulls are saying they're looking for at this point.
Yeah. I mean, and listen, like I said, I understand completely where you come from, and that's been my mindset. And like I said, I'm just kind of going off what this is, but you got to look at it like this. Did D'Angelo Russell really help the Lakers much this playoff run? That could be somebody that they look to. And even, in that Casey Johnson saying that the Bulls could look at 3-team options as well. It just really seems like that the Bulls have adopted this mindset, and I could be wrong. I'm not reporting on this. It just seems like from what we're hearing, just kind of putting it all together, the mindset now is we got to move Zach LaVine by any means necessary.
Well, I think what's also
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think what's also interesting about that too was, right, the conversation around the Bulls also realized that this may not be an offseason move. This may be a trade deadline. Yeah. So, I mean, like this could very well still be a half a season of Zach LaVine. And let me tell you this, a half a season of Zach LaVine playing how Zach LaVine played before the injury. Don't think AK can't get convinced and all of a sudden he's all the way back in. There's a lot of time. Like, if they don't trade him in the offseason, I don't know if a trade gets done.
They have to trade him this off. Maybe that's part of it too. Maybe they feel like they got to trade him this offseason to save themselves from themselves. Like, you know what? We don't even want to give ourselves the chance to be back in. Let's just get them out of there.
Oh man, can we trade Zach LaVine for a coach? Is that possible? I know you technically can do that, but like, can we? Who can we trade Zach LaVine for? That's like, I'm sick of this. Let me get up out.
Yeah, because I swear to God, if they end up doing it for Darvin Ham, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm just letting you know right now. I'm gonna be.
We
pissed.
already got a dude with his hands in his pockets.
Yeah, we don't because that's what'll happen, right? Like, nah, come on. But And I get it. A lot of Bulls fans are antsy. A lot of Bulls fans do want change for the sake of change, and I just don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear change for the sake of change. If you're going to move off, and that doesn't mean like in the long run. If you do move Zach LaVine for expiring deals, right? Let's say you get a couple of players in here. For the nature of the conversation, let's say if it is the Lakers, for example, you get D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura, who were the rumored trade package before. Let's say you get those guys in here. I think you separate the deals. D'Angelo Russell thing only has one more year left on his deal. There's some sense to be made with that. It alleviates some things. You got to start preparing, which is crazy to think of. We got to start preparing and look for the extensions of Ayo and Kobe White. I know they just signed those deals, but after next season, they're expiring contracts. They only have 2 years left on their deal, so you got to start looking at that too. So if that's what they're doing, okay, I get it. I understand it to a degree, but like that doesn't necessarily improve the team, right? And I hope that whatever changes that they do end up making this season, that actually improvement and not just change is the focus. Because if you just focus on change, that's easy to do. But it's what are you benefiting from that change? And that's what I hope adds some clarity to this Bulls team if they do make that move.
And I think, here's my thing. I always look at it from the another team's viewpoint of it, right? Like the Lakers, I think, are a good one if you look at that trade, because maybe they are just sick of Rui. Like I think two things can be true. The way that D'Lo and Rui performed in this playoffs is just as bad as how Darvin Ham's hands in his pockets were, right? Like they both were detriments to the team going out there and winning. And so maybe you want to move on from them. But is Zach LaVine the guy that you bring in to change that?
I think the Lakers have shown before that, they're desperate, bro. Like, that's the thing. You're trying to make sense. The only sense in this situation is desperation.
I hear you, but my thing is a desperation for we got to get another ring while LeBron is here.
See, I don't necessarily think that's the thing either. You know, the Lakers are, because they're already talking about the Lakers are open to drafting Bronny to try to keep LeBron there. So like they're desperate. They're doing a lot of stuff. I heard that. you're willing to do some stupid stuff. It is what it is when it comes down to it.
You saying if they driving a truck at 3 a.m. pulling into the lot, they might buy a lizard.
They very well may be, bro. You just never know. People do stupid things, and the Lakers are a franchise that, because they just want to stay competitive, like they're just as bad as the Bulls. The only difference is they're doing it with AD and LeBron James, and we're doing it with DeMar DeRozan and Kobe White.
I was gonna say they're not just as bad as the Bulls. Like when you're doing it with LeBron and AD, like I'm just mad at the coaching decision. And like, you got the right players. You want to ring with these.
All I can say is this: the Lakers only won one more playoff game than the Chicago Bulls this season.
Yeah, but they went to the Western Conference Finals last year.
We were not talking about last year.
We got
Next up, we're going to be talking about the rumors around Nikola Vucevic. Before we get into that, got to talk to you guys about one of our sponsors, and that is DoorDash. This Mother's Day, get something thoughtful for mom on DoorDash. Surprise her from wherever you are with fresh bouquets, the latest tech gifts, self-care treats, and more to make her day that much better. Does mom have a sweet tooth? Is she a tech enthusiast, a beauty connoisseur, or is she outdoorsy? No matter what she's into, you can make her smile with a fruit or flower bouquet, makeup, tech gear, without workout wear, and more. Pair flowers with a gift card so she can celebrate any way she wants. Is she a bookworm? Try a bookstore gift card. Does she love a good latte? Get a gift card to her favorite coffee spot. You can't go wrong. Order now and get everything you need for Mother's Day on DoorDash. Use code LOCKEDONNBA to get 50% off your next order, up to $15 when you spend $15 plus on your next flower, convenience, grocery, or retail order now on DoorDash. That's LOCKEDONNBA using order code using DoorDash today. Terms do apply. Also got to talk to you guys about another one of our sponsors, and that's one that we talk about all the time here, and that's FanDuel. It's winner take all time in the NBA and NHL, and FanDuel giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. You can bet on these playoffs, which these have been a very fun playoffs, just kind of all around very competitive games here, in that unless you're Minnesota and the Phoenix Suns, who'd had the same amount of playoff wins as the Chicago Bulls. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money line, prayer pops, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
You say Minnesota had the same amount of playoff wins?
Did I say Minnesota? I said Phoenix.
Minnesota.
Oh, well, you know what it is.
Minnesota and Phoenix. I was like, Minnesota.
With that said, Pat, man,
Michael's son is that?
That's crazy. Hey, listen, Michael's son is looking very Michael-ish in this playoff run as well. He's never beaten allegations.
Video together.
Oh yeah, I saw it, bro. Yeah. They're never beating the allegations. You know what? The only way that those allegations can be beat is Anthony Davis's dad needs to stand up right now and be like, "That's my boy." Like, because until that happens.
Hey, you're not beating the allegations. Anthony Edwards, brother, not Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, a whole different dude.
Yeah, well, that we think that's all I can say. Listen, Michael Jordan was very active in the late '90s. Is all I can say on that.
You know what's hilarious? The fact that all of these mugs, birth dates, you can trace within 9 months of Jordan being in their hometown.
That's crazy.
Like Jimmy's is the same way. You could trace it like 9 months of the Bulls playing. I think it was the Spurs or something like that. And he was born in Texas. Was it Texas? Or it's one of them teams, right? But like Ant is the same.
Tomball, Texas.
Yeah, Ant is the same thing. Freaking like there's so many of them where it's like, was Mike really just out here like producing all the next stars of the NBA?
Probably. He was doing the reverse Larson. Instead of Larson being out there in the world, he was out there in the world. But this article on Chicago Sun-Times, by the way, Pat, did you see Joe Cowley get absolutely cooked by Raw?
Yo, did you see C-Red Fred going at Joe Cowley, bro?
Wait, C-Red? I did not see C-Red Fred going at Joe Cowley.
Back and forth. Bro, hey, listen,
hey, bro.
It's been a day for Joe. Joe had a day like Drake out here.
Listen, Kendrick Lamar did not drop the best diss in the last 24 hours. That goes to Ross. That's all I can say on that one. He cooked that man. Got to give that man some love.
Ross be going ham.
In this, they noticed that the Bulls also may explore the trade market for center Nikola Vucevic. It may be difficult to move him because of his type of middle class contract, which is $20 million per year, is becoming extinct with the new labor deal. Now, Pat, I've maintained for a long time that moving Nikola Vucevic would be nearly impossible with his production, and the contract isn't ridiculous. I don't even get why. Again, that's a Joe Cali article. Why it would be nearly impossible to move a $20 million contract when we see $40+ million contracts moved every offseason. But it is what it is there. But it really does seem like, I take from this saying that the Bulls truly seem like they're exploring all options, even if they're getting to a point of moving Vooch. Now, the question I'm going to throw to you on this one is, Pat, do you think there's any way that the Bulls move Vooch without giving up a future draft pick? Because I have not seen that up until this point. Or attaching, maybe a team is interested in a Dalen Terry and you do that. I don't know, Pat, but what do you think as far as a Nikola Vucevic trade market?
I think a Vuce trade will be tough to pull off at this point. Not because of the contract, but more so because of the up and down production. Like, who you trading them to? Why would a middle of the pack team want them? You would think that it would be a fringe playoff to a playoff team that wants to add a Nikola Vucevic to their roster, and then you have to ask yourself, okay, how does that work with this team? Like, everything for me is, okay, why would the other team do this? And the Vooch that we saw, especially with his on-off court numbers, when you look at pace of play and different things like that, it just doesn't speak to a modern NBA right now. Now, maybe it's because of dedication, and I'm not saying that Vuce wasn't dedicated, but there were some games where he looked like he definitely was like, all right, we're doing this again. Here we go. All right, I'm going out there. But I just think that pace of play alone, when you look at the fact that the Bulls' pace of play slows when you're running things through Vuce or when you're going very Vuce heavy, you have to ask yourself, okay, why would a modern team want to get in on this? Especially teams that probably already have pretty good pace of play. And then on top of that, I think the other thing for me with Vuce is just what team is calling the Bulls about Vuce? No disrespect to Vuce, but you got to be down the list bad. Like, when you get to the players that the Bulls have right now, because of, what did he call it? Did he call it a middle? What do you call the contract? Read that part again.
Middle class contract.
A middle class contract. Middle class is $20 million now. Is that what we at right now?
That's crazy, bro.
Vuce is middle class, dog. I thought I heard that right.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I don't get that part of it at all. But I guess, listen, the Bulls got to open all options, and that's what AK said, to his credit, that they're going to look and explore all options. You can't do that if you don't take a look and make some calls around and see what you can get. I don't expect much, but hey, maybe they can surprise us.
I don't know, man. I think that this whole, you would have to take L's on every trade of these guys. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to? And I've said this a couple of times, right? Like, if you're going to go out there and you're going to make a deal and you want to just say, listen, we want to run it with the young guys, we want to figure out what's going on, take L's. Because the worst thing that happens is the young guys are good and you have to give away your 2025 pick. The best thing that happens is that the young guys are good and you have to give away your 2025 pick. Or I should say the worst thing that happens is the young guys are bad and you keep your 2025
pick. That's the worst thing that can happen, right? Like,
you know what I'm saying?
In a deep draft. That's actually the reverse of this draft. It's supposed to be a pretty deep draft. So, I mean, but that's the thing. And that goes back to kind of my biggest fear with AK. I just don't know if AK is really prepared to be bad enough to let that happen. It just seems like he wants to keep this team competitive to a certain level. And I respect it to a degree, but it's like, at some point, it's all going to fizzle out and come crashing down and burning.
Well, and I think here's my thing with it, right? You have to balance this. This is the part where everybody's just like, just bottom out and gut it and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I don't think you can do that. I do think you need to take back some kind of contracts, bring back players that can play at some level. That's why I guess if a Zach LaVine deal was done, I wouldn't be overly upset at a D'Lo trade. Or if if you end up trading Vuce for, I don't know, middle of the pack players, role players, middle class role players, as he said. I wouldn't be mad at that either, because I do want there to be some level of competitiveness, because what happens when you bottom out is people leave. I don't want Kobe White to leave now. I want Kobe to be here. I want him to be a part of this team. I don't want Al DeSumo to leave. I want them to be here. Now, they've got times left on their deal still, so you can just sit there and say, hey, you're going to be here until we're done with it. But that's not how you want to go about this. That's how you got in the situation where you felt you needed to overpay Zach LaVine because he was able to stick it out through the ugly years, and now you're sitting there making the payment to Zach LaVine, and you're going, we can't figure out how to get rid of this dude. Like, that's how you put yourself in that situation, trying to do the bottom out, but we want to keep somebody there. I don't want to be in that spot anymore, right? Like that's what Detroit's about to have to do with everybody on their team. Like, listen, when Cade comes up for contract, oh my God.
Yeah.
He gonna come in and be like, I want half of Monty's money.
I want his check. That's what I want.
His check. But Cade, we can give you your own money. No. I wanted to say paid to the order of Monty Williams, forwarded to. I want his check.
I want to know that you're taking the money out of his check and giving it to me. It has to be earmarked for that. Thank you very much.
I think that's a bad way to go about coaching a basketball team. So you do got to. My point in all of that is you got to play both sides. You do have to play all right, we've got some talent here. We just gonna bottom out and suck completely, or do we want to actually keep some of these guys for the long run because they're young players that we have developed here? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's a Wemby coming up in 2 years. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it's worth it for the Bulls. But hey, before we get into this final topic, where we do got to review Alex Caruso's season last season. I mean, listen, dominant play from AC on multiple fronts. But first, got to tell you guys all about Monopoly Go. Here's the thing. With Monopoly Go, in Monopoly Go, you can team up with your friends for timed tournaments and work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you're able to unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers. You can trade with a friend to complete albums for big prizes, cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, hilarious emojis to taunt friends with when you're smashing their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every single day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges, a ton, including their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a Robo Pachico machine. And there's always a new timed event that helps you win big, like a massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go. So get off the bench and go download it now for free on the Google Play or App Store. Game on.
All right, Pat. Now, I know mainly the episodes lately have been built around reviewing the season for the players. We had a lot of stuff to get into today, but we can't leave out this episode without doing a review. And today, we're going to talk about Alex Caruso, bro. How do you view the 2023-24 season for one Alex Caruso?
Listen, AC did exactly what he said he wanted to do. He wanted to come in here and improve his three-point percentage. He was able to do that. He wanted to come in here and kind of get this team galvanized a little bit more defensively. He was able to do that when the team itself was on the floor. I think that AC has been everything that we've needed him to be and more. And I am not. You're not going to hear me be able to say a bad thing about Alex Caruso. I don't think there's a portion of his game that we have to look at and say, if he improves this, the Chicago Bulls are better. No, the Chicago Bulls just need to get better. I mean, like Alex Caruso has literally been everything from our lead scorer to our lead three-point shooter to our lead defender to our best defender to our lead guy in assists. He's come away in multiple games with 10 assists. He's been our leading rebounder. He's been he's 6'4". We've asked him to be everything from the point guard to the head coach. He's 6'4".
Not from the point guard to the head coach. That's crazy, but accurate.
No, he's played every position on the bench. He's played every position on the floor. And we've needed him to kind of coach us through some of these final games.
As one of Billy Donovan's new assistants, can we get Rajon Rondo in the building? Just a little bit of Rajon Rondo.
Listen. I'm always leery on the former players, but I always remember how Rondo really stuck up for the bench. And I would love to see Rondo on this team because I think it would make Billy actually play some young guys.
Well, because you know what, Billy. Remember, that's part of the reason Rondo got into it with Jimmy and Dwayne Wade, because he wanted to support the young guys. And I also think Rajon Rondo would be one of the people on the bench that'd be like, Billy, now you know that's some BS, bro. Like, what was that?
Problem is Rondo would fight Billy. Yeah. Rondo would.
That
Rondo
probably would absolutely happen.
Yeah, no, it'd be an ugly coaching staff. Like, listen, it's tough when you see guys and you're like, I think that guy would make a really good coach, but then I also see like the hood streak in him. And I'd be like, but Muggs got like a little bit of a different mindset today than when he played, right? Like Rondo's gonna come in and be like, hey, listen, if you talk crazy, I'm gonna put you on your butt. And then like the player's gonna be like, oh,
he won't get choked like Chris Fleming.
Yeah, man, listen. Oh no, bro. Oh no, Chris Fleming getting choked was
bro. That was still great. But hey, Chris, to his credit, Chris Fleming ain't back down a bit.
He didn't back down, bro. They had to pull Chris Fleming out of that situation. They're like, no, get over here. Leave him alone. Don't beat him up. Chris was like, yeah, I could have hurt him. I'm like, shut up, Chris. Go the other way.
Somebody hold me back. Hold me back.
Oh, dog. I forgot about that. We had a dumb season.
Bro, it's been such a crazy season, bro. We've been through some stuff, man.
I mean, listen, that's the problem with the league right now, too, bro. Like, there's no vet. There's no old guy in the league. Who's the old outside of LeBron? Who's the old guy in the league?
LeBron James is the old guy.
I was gonna say, but like he's still putting up like freaking 35 points. Like he's not like going to the bench coach role.
Jeff Green.
What happened to the old player in the league that's like, hey, I'm gonna just sit this one out. My knees hurt. Where's
Jeff Green? He sits it out because his bald spot hurts.
Bald spot. I got nervous. I was like, what'd you just say?
My bald spot got to tingling. I gotta sit this one out. That's literally what happens, bro.
I feel like Jeff played a lot this year, though. Like,
I don't know, bro.
I feel like Jeff logged some minutes this year, my boy. I don't know about that, but I feel like Jeff was playing like 15 a night. Like, it's a lot of time.
That's funny, bro. It was, hey.
What was your thoughts on AC this year, dog?
AC played great this year, bro.
Jeff Green played 17 minutes a game this year.
That's crazy.
He
played in 78 games. Jeff Green only missed 4 games this season. Shout out to Jeff Green for getting those checks. AC, like, I agree with everything you said, though. AC was the one Bull player. I'm not going to say the one because Kobe White, I mean, he needed to work on the inconsistency, but he did exactly what he said he was going to do this offseason. He came into this and said that he wanted his offense to start matching what he brings defensively. And for his credit, for the most part, he did exactly that, bro. Yeah. And I can't knock a player when they do that. Like I talked about for Nikola Vucevic, one of the things that I judged Vuce on, and I said it was that the fact that Vuce, his words were, I don't need to shoot 3-pointers to be effective. And then he continued to shoot 3-pointers. Alex Caruso came in and said he wanted to shoot the ball better. And to his credit, he took the highest volume of threes he ever took in his career and shot at the highest percentage that he ever took in his career. I can't knock the man for that. He came in and did everything that he could do from his position, especially at that less than $10 million contract. He more than lived up to that. Alex Caruso is probably the only Bull that we're going to get that's going to get an A for me. I can't give him anything less than that.
It's so funny too, because like all I can think is you want to make all of these deals work that we talk about. You want to make a Zach LaVine deal work. You want to make a Vuce deal work, include AC. And
you're not wrong, bro.
I'd be sick seeing him go because you know the level of competition in the room is going to go the other direction. But how else you getting rid of these guys? like they got it. The teams have to have something that you want, or you have to have something that the teams want sent in there. Like I feel like teams that take a lot longer look at Zach LaVine, especially the Lakers. The Lakers will take a very long look if you say, "Hey, we gotta lightly use Alex Caruso for you. Y'all want him back?
Lightly use Alex Caruso. How much would y'all be willing to give us for lightly?
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I'm telling you right now. This ain't like a lightly used Meek Mill. Very different situation here. Hey, man, appreciate y'all for tuning in, showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave that 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. You can follow us on everything at Locked On Bulls. You can follow me on everything at Pat The Designer. Watch your back.
You guys can follow me at CEO Haize, man. Thank you for tuning in to the episode of Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube for Pat The Designer. I'm Haize. This has been Locked On Bulls, and hopefully we're back tomorrow, y'all. Peace.
They won't get that joke.
You're gonna have to show up with the suits again.
Last I heard, Meek Mill was back with the fresh out the shower to try and get out the back of the thing.
I can't say the joke I want to on here, so I'm gonna leave it alone.